Hey guys, today I'm going to share with you a recipe that you guys keep requesting over and over again. It's for how to make homemade bread. And the best thing about this recipe is you don't need any fancy bread machines or special equipment to make it. All you need is just a few basic kitchen tools. This recipe is also part of a collab with one of my favorite YouTube channels called The Gray Boxwood. If you don't already know of this channel, I encourage you to subscribe. You will fall in love with Caleb's recipes as much as I have. He lives out in Iowa on a farm with his partner Joel, and the two of them live a pretty idyllic lifestyle. I love to live vicariously through their recipes and blog posts, and I think you'll enjoy them as much as I do. So be sure to subscribe. So after my video is done, be sure to click the thumbnail and you can head on over to see Caleb's recipe for a delicious rhubarb butter, which is a fantastic fruit spread that is the perfect complement to this homemade bread recipe. So you be sure you want to check that out. So let's get started, and I'm going to show you how to make a fantastic homemade bread recipe. So you're first going to take out a large bowl. To that, you're going to add 4 cups of flour, just regular all-purpose flour. That's the best part about this recipe, nothing fancy. Then you're going to add a full packet of active yeast, 2 teaspoons of salt, and then give it a whisk. Then you're going to warm up 2 cups of water. Now I just popped mine in the microwave for about 55 seconds. Basically what you're looking for is for the water to reach the temperature of anywhere between 112 to 115 degrees. This is the perfect temperature to activate the yeast. If it's any colder than that, the yeast will not activate and your bread will not rise. If it's any hotter, you can actually kill the yeast and then your bread's not going to rise either. So you want to make sure you get it within that range. Then you're going to pour your water into the flour mixture and take out a wooden spoon and just start mixing it together. You really want to incorporate all of that flour into the dough and make sure that it's nice and well mixed. When it reaches that stage, and it doesn't need to be totally perfect and come together, it can still be a little bit misshapen, not to worry. You're going to take out another bowl and you're going to add a tablespoon of olive oil. Then you're just going to take your hands, make sure they're clean, and go into that bowl and just spread the oil all the way around up the sides. Now you don't want to rinse off your hands because they're nice and oily now, which is going to help you form your dough. So you can go in with your hands and just start to kind of knead that dough in the bowl. Basically what you're trying to do is just to get a nice round mass. Just about 2 minutes or so will do the trick. And then you can transfer that dough into the bowl with the oil. And then you can kind of rub the dough around the oil a little bit, just making sure it's nice and incorporated, and then let it sit. At this point, go wash your hands, and then you're going to come back and you're going to place some plastic wrap all along the side of the bowl. Now here's the fun, easy part. What you're gonna do is just let this dough rise overnight. So when you go to bed, you're gonna wake up and the dough is gonna be nice and risen. So the place that I really like to choose is inside my oven with the oven turned off, just because it's draft free and it keeps it out of the way from any little prying hands. At our house, we have a lot of prying hands, so it keeps it safe. Then in the morning, you will see when you take that plastic wrap off, you will have this beautifully risen dough. So what you wanna do is make sure your hands have some nice flour on it. You're going to grab that dough and put it down on a floured surface. And at this point, you're just going to knead it for about 3 to 4 minutes. Then once you get to the part where it's actually turned into a little ball, you're going to pop it on a parchment-lined cookie sheet. And then you're going to let it rise for 1 more hour. I know, you've come this far and you want to just pop it in the oven. But it's really going to help to let it rise for 1 more hour because that's what's going to help that dough become really nice, beautiful, fluffy bread. So give it 1 more hour. Then after it's risen for another hour, you'll see your dough has kind of increased in size. And then 2 tips before you bake it. So the first thing you want to do is remove all the racks of your oven. You want this bread to go on the very low rack because that way it just won't burn on the top. It's going to be in the oven for at least 40 minutes and you want to make sure that it ends up being golden brown and not scorched on the top. And then the other thing that is going to give us a really nice crusty crust is by placing some water in with our bread in a little cake pan. You can use a cake pan or a pie plate, anything that will hold about a cup of water. And the reason we want to do that is as that oven heats up, all of that water will start to evaporate and will create kind of a steamy environment. And that's what's going to help that bread create a really nice crust. Then you can pop it in a 400-degree oven for 40 minutes. Now at the 30-minute mark, you might be looking in the oven and think, oh, it looks like it's done. Don't take it out because even though it might be golden brown on the outside, it still isn't really baked in the inside. And I can't tell you how many times I've taken it out, cut into it, only to have raw dough inside. And it's a terrible feeling, especially after you've let it rise all that time and you're all excited for your homemade bread. There's really nothing you can do about it at that point. So let it go the full 40 minutes and you'll be glad you did because you'll have really well-baked bread inside. Then when it is done, you're gonna allow it to cool slightly And then my favorite way to actually cut into this bread, because it is quite a large loaf, is to cut it in half. Then take that half and then cut it vertically into slices. Then I like to pile my bread in a basket and serve it with some really high quality butter. And then of course, you want to top that with some of COLLAB's delicious rhubarb spread. So if you want to find out how to make the rhubarb spread, you can click the annotation and it'll take you over to that video. I love this recipe because it is so easy, takes hardly any effort, and it's really affordable too. And you don't need any fancy gadgets or machines to achieve a fantastic homemade bread. So I hope you guys give this one a try and let me know what you think. And I will see you back here next week when we are going to tackle homemade ice cream. Another one of my favorite things to make, homemade. All right, I'll see you then. Bye.